So how does this actually work? We want to show you actually how you make a Wi-Fi call over a T-Mobile network with a, I believe it's a Samsung phone we're using here.
Hi everybody, it's Jessica here at Spot On Network. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to make a call over Wi-Fi with this T-Mobile phone, which has Wi-Fi calling enabled on it seamlessly. It's very easy. You just click on the phone icon like you would call over cellular. It says calls will be made over Wi-Fi. I'm going to give my buddy Brennan in marketing a call. You can hear how clear it is. And we'll put him on speaker.
Hello.
Hey Brennan, it's Jess. How you doing?
Hey Jess, how are you? What are you up to?
Good. I just wanted to give you a call over Spot On Wi-Fi so everyone can hear how clear it is. Can you say hi?
Yeah, hey, how are you?
Awesome. Thanks so much. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
So that's how it essentially works over T-Mobile. You wouldn't know any difference between making a call over Wi-Fi as you're making a call over the cellular system. It's easy to use. It's completely seamless. You can make outgoing calls. You can get incoming calls. It's the same phone number. So for the end user, the calling experience is exactly the same as cellular. The issue as of today, as we mentioned, is it's supported really by T-Mobile and Sprint. It's not yet supported by Verizon and AT&T. So what has to happen here from the carrier perspective? For seamless Wi-Fi calling to work, you really need, as we said, carrier support, and you also need device manufacturer or operating system support. We wanted to give you kind of a lay of the land. We mentioned to you before, what you just saw was a T-Mobile call. This is really how easy it is to set up on a phone. For T-Mobile, there's really 3 steps. You go into the settings of the phone, and this is obviously an Android phone. You go into the settings of the phone, you tap on settings, you tap more settings, you then toggle on Wi-Fi calling, and you essentially have three different preferences. You can set it to be Wi-Fi preferred, you can set it to cellular preferred, you can set it to Wi-Fi only. So it's built into the operating system in the settings of the phone. You enable the phone once, you can now make calls going forward on any Wi-Fi network you're connected to. This is the easiest and simplest approach to this. The next approach is Sprint. They've taken a little bit of a different tact on this. It's still kind of 3 simple steps. You choose the network you want to use for Wi-Fi calling, and this is the big change. So you have to enable this at least one time on every network you're on. So you select the network you're on, you turn on Wi-Fi calling, and then the other thing you have to do with Sprint is either manually enter your address or hit locate me for the E911 functionality. So they've kind of stressed the E911 functionality a little bit more than T-Mobile. T-Mobile, I believe, you have to go onto a website to enable this functionality. But we envision each one of these carriers, obviously, to kind of support Wi-Fi calling a little differently depending on the phone, perhaps, and the operating system or the manufacturer of the phone. So Sprint and T-Mobile are the 2 big carriers. Right now, the major support for this functionality is in the Android community. About 52% of all phones out there are Android devices. These are the phones that both T-Mobile and Sprint support. I believe Samsung, LG, and HTC, are the major manufacturers of Android devices. The big one that you see down below on the T-Mobile side, and the big announcement that was just made in the last month or so, is all about Apple. So although Android's got about 52% of the market, Apple's got about 42% of the market. And the announcement, if you didn't see it, was on June 2nd this year. Apple announced at its developers conference that iOS 8 will support seamless Wi-Fi calling on Apple smartphones. So immediately after that announcement, T-Mobile announced that they'll be the first carrier to support Wi-Fi calling on the iPhone. From our perspective, this continues to make T-Mobile the leader in Wi-Fi calling. They'll now have it on all Android phones and all iPhones that they sell. So our view is that just as Apple changed the landscape for cellular phones back in 2007, 2008, we're hopeful that this announcement by Apple will start to drive the 2 other large national carriers into adopting Wi-Fi calling. Mostly we talked about the 4 major carriers. For those of you who don't know, there are a number of other small carriers like Scratch Wireless and Republic Wireless that have a service called Wi-Fi First, which operates under the theory that 80% of smartphone use is on Wi-Fi and 20% is on cellular. So these two companies are actually Sprint mobile virtual network operators, which essentially means that the phone goes to Wi-Fi first to make a phone call, and if it can't find a Wi-Fi signal, it will then get onto the Sprint network. And so these phones, they have kind of a prepaid plan, a lot less expensive than your 4 major carrier phones. At this point, there's a couple 100,000 subscribers using both these services. So something to watch also. The reviews have been relatively good for the 2 services. The other thing to keep your eye on, obviously, is the whole cable MSO front. The Cable Wi-Fi Alliance, which is a consortium of the top 5 cable companies in the country, have, as you probably know, have about 250,000 hotspots that you can utilize if you're if you're a subscriber to one of those cable networks. And from our perspective, it's only a matter of time until you'll see the cable companies start releasing Wi-Fi phones that probably behave like the Scratch Wireless or Republic Wireless phones. They'll be Wi-Fi first, and then when it can't find a Wi-Fi signal, it'll try to find one or more carriers. So a lot going on in the space, obviously, with the cable folks also. One thing we didn't mention is just some of the hoary technical details of this. 2 companies that have really been the so-called middleware providers for the device manufacturers. The middleware essentially is that piece of software that kind of marries up the operating system and the application, if you will. And Kineto has been the company that supplied the middleware for both Wi-Fi calling for Sprint and T-Mobile. The big announcement Dick referenced earlier in the presentation was around Smith Micro. And the announcement was on August 5th. Smith Micro announced with Verizon that it had signed a joint deal to use the Smith Micro NetWise data and device management product. So the issue is whether or not this product will be used not just for things like data offload, or whether this is a harbinger of potential Wi-Fi calling from Verizon. So tough to read into it. No one explicitly said that was the case, but if you read the Smith Micro blurb, what he said was, we recently were selected by Verizon to work on the project utilizing the NetWise platform, and we are finalizing deals now with 2 other Tier 1 operators, including one project with an end-to-end middleware platform and another for dynamic policy management platform. So the question for us here is whether or not this other Tier 1 operator might be AT&T, and whether or not what they're talking about is not just offload of data, but Wi-Fi calling on Verizon and AT&T. So that's certainly something to keep an eye on.